Oh, yeah. Just wrangle around in those pockets.
ASMR.
Find Daddy what he's looking for. What have you got in there? It sounds like a quarter and 2 dimes. Or some keys.
I believe I have 95 cents.
I was close.
Don't tell my wife.
What, do you have money?
95 cents. Yeah. Coinage of the realm.
Well, hey guys, what's going on here? River Sullivan coming at you right here, right now. Pre-recorded yet again for your live listening pleasure for another episode of This Evening Tonight, where it's time to sit back, relax, crack a cold one, and just let us mind F your brains out with all these knowledge bombs we about to be dropping on you, and I don't know why I'm talking like that. And with me here yet again, one of those princes of Maine, those kings of New England, the man of mysterious legends of the mind, body, soul, and a really good fisherman, my friend, and hetero life mate.
For the most part.
Dave.
I'm here.
You shut the fuck up and let me finish your intro.
And I have, in fact, been to Maine. I've been to Bangor.
I got nothing for that. I wish I did.
No, it's just stating a fact. I've been to Bangor, Maine.
Yeah. So how are things?
Things are things.
Things are things. And speaking of things being things here, the audience, ya all out there, ya fellas, ya ladies, might have noticed that there's been kind of a gap in the upload schedule here, where, quick update, we will be going to bi-monthly episodes, meaning 2 episodes a month instead of 1 every week. Life has gotten a little bit busy here for us on Casa de Sully, as have they on Casa de Dave.
River's real busy, and Dave's a little crazy.
Shit happens.
Shit does happen.
Shit does happen. And speaking of shit, a little bit of shit that it is that we're going to talk about today. It's some of the shit that rambles around in our heads. And that is our good old friend who likes to come knocking whenever we don't want him to. He's that mother-in-law of the soul that just comes visiting, and you're like, oh, why have you come? Okay, I guess we're staying for a while. Let me go make up the guest bed. And that's our friend, post-traumatic stress.
Yay!
Yay! Every veteran's favorite friend. And of course, now it's not only regulated now just to the veterans. As we've talked before, we had Catfish Craig on the show. Correctional officers are the reigning PTSD champions of the continental U.S. Of 3 times higher than those of us that were, say, Dave's tip of the spear.
I'd say a lot of EMTs and probably a lot of like trauma surgeons and things like that probably have a lot of PTSD as well.
Yeah. So this is something, though, that I've thought about with, like, where you talk about EMTs or correctional officers or guys that have to do the daily grind at a job where you can see the worst of mankind that it has to offer, or what society has to offer, or just what life in general has to offer. And that 24 hours later, you're back on your post, your job, whatever it is.
You don't have any chance to process it. It's part of your job.
I can, yeah. That's the thing is, like, those are jobs that I can agree with and see that, where people talk about being in a grind of that, just being that machine that just you get kind of dead inside, and that maybe it is when they see these heinous things that they can't get them out of their head because it was the most alive that they'd fucking felt in a long time.
Well, I think that's more of
it's a really weird way to look at it, I know.
Yeah, I think that's more of the adrenaline junkie / maybe serial killer way to look at it. But
no, you're right. Hang on, I got to go finish pulling the wings off these flies real quick. Though they've been talking shit.
Oh, I got them. Don't worry.
Oh,
they're not going anywhere.
You're a good friend. Hell yes.
I don't know. I think it's more like when I was in the service, I saw combat. I saw most of the initial invasion of Iraq, and it didn't really affect me at the time. I think when you actually have a chance to zero and center yourself, I think that's.
Let me ask you, why do you think it hadn't affected you at the time? Because some people have not gone through this, so I want you to flesh this out.
For me, in particular, when I was in combat, I laughed hysterically. Shooting at people, I laughed hysterically. I escaped in my mind to a little place where I was essentially in a movie.
Yeah.
Like I was myself, but I was also completely disconnected from any ramifications of anything that I was doing. It was just a survival.
Do you think it was
mechanism.
like almost a sense of disbelief that, holy shit, this is happening to me? Like,
Yes, yeah. But I laughed hysterically. It was.
I knew a guy that was his stress reaction. Was he worked in a law enforcement field, and at some point in his training, he was telling me, he said, we get taken hostage. In his training, he said, at the end of it, he gets taken hostage by role players, like these guys that are hired to play just crazy people with guns and whatnot, and they come in shooting blanks off and everything like that, and then they throw pillowcases on their heads and like just start yelling at them. This is in a classroom setting, okay? And according to him, he said, River, I didn't know what to do. Like we were told it was coming, and we just still, like, even expecting it, you didn't expect how you would react to happen. He said, my stress reaction was I laughed. Like that's what he did. The guy's like, you think this is funny, motherfucker? And like, he's like I'm sorry.
Like, no,
I'm laughing. It's just
no, I don't know what's going on.
I swear, I'm sorry. But that was his stress reaction, and everybody reacts to stress differently. Like, so for you, laughing during combat, I'm not even going to judge, because I've heard that from other people. Like, it's not totally normal, but not totally abnormal.
Well, it's a hell of a good way to give away your position. So I don't recommend doing it.
I guess it depends on your laugh. Like that, that laugh right there, like, that might be a little bit of a psyop though, and scare off the opposition.
It might. It didn't. But
we want nothing to do with this.
No, when it came down to it, that's just how I had to deal with that situation. It was not a forethought. It was just a reaction.
Oh shit.
And all the things that I saw and things I may have partaken in didn't really affect me until I was out of the service. Because while I was in the service, I was surrounded by all these other people that
like-minded individuals that have gone through it. Yeah.
That weren't exhibiting any symptoms of PTSD. And
let me ask you that real quick.
It was normal at that point. It was just normal. That's normal. You lose that little bit of humanity.
It's the desensitized.
Yeah.
But let me ask you this then, to totally cut you off on that. Looking back, do you think that everybody was so unaffected or seemed to be so comfortable around you because they were going through the same thing and they all felt the same, that, you know what, I gotta maintain strong for the boys. They gotta know that there's a rock around them, like whether you have to be that rock or you want to be that rock or you just naturally are that rock, that everybody put on a brave face.
Well, I'll tell you what, River, I've got the fucking answer you're looking for.
Proceed.
The military operates on what a lot of people call
nuts.
A broke dick mentality.
Okay.
The weakest link in the chain will get effed up.
So nobody wants to be that weak link.
Nobody wants to be the weak link. Nobody wants to go to sick call in the morning because then you're a broke dick.
Yeah.
That's what they call you. I
know.
Broke dick. The military has to have this sense of
invincibility, almost.
Invincibility, bravado, putting on a strong face, because you have to get the mission done. It doesn't matter if you're scared. It doesn't matter how you feel.
And that's going off of the military that me and you know from back in the day.
Things are different.
You look at it, and have you seen?
I don't think it's that different.
I mean, have you seen the Army's recruitment cartoon?
No.
It's a cartoon. It's a literal cartoon. And it was. I get it.
So they're getting back to their roots.
Well, no. It's all about inclusivity, which I have no problem with being inclusive. I have no problem with anybody's like, sexual orientation or how they want to view themselves or whatever they want to identify as. You want to serve your country, you serve your fucking country. Amen, hallelujah, I salute you. So for anybody out there that's listening in our veteran audience, our active duty, our guard, our reserve, anybody out there and you identify as something other than whatever it is, you know, fly your own flag, sail your own sail, row your own boat. I don't care.
River and Dave, don't give a shit. Thank
Don't
you for your
give
service.
a shit. Thank you for serving. But when you look at the advertising campaign that the Army did, and it was a cartoon that was like almost Disney-esque, and it had like Karen with her two moms, and you know, I just want to serve my country, and I'm like, okay, I get it. We're trying to be inclusive, but it was like really happy. Like it was way too happy for the Army. And they were talking about, they would always talk about serving the country, but they never really discussed about making the sacrifice or really like getting into the shit. Like
You're gonna grow up in 9 weeks.
Within the same month, the Russian and Chinese military issued their own recruitment videos, which, if you compared it to ours, is a fucking horror story. Like the Chinese one was very patriotic, everybody's marching, there's guns, flash shot of some missiles. The Russian one, holy shit. This guy wakes up and you're like, he just woke up from killing people and is now waking up to kill more people. Like, it was all about like just projection of strength.
You're gonna be an action movie star.
Pretty much, but like a scarier one. Like, yeah, picture Jason Statham, but instead of just chiseled ab Jason Statham, he's also Jason Voorhees. Welcome to Russia. Like, holy fuck, I watched it. Might have pooped a little bit. But I'm just saying, it's like,
That's what
the recruitment mentality has changed, and I get it. Like, as Americans, we're concerned with being inclusive and not wanting to piss anybody off. But in the same hand, or on the other hand, or some kind of hand, it's the military. It's the thing that has to go do the things that you don't want to do so you can continue to enjoy the things being your freedom.
I think the military is pretty famous, and at least up until recent years, pretty well known for really not giving a shit about what you think. You're there to press your uniform, shine your boots, qualify with your
And
with
know
your
how to
weapon.
kill.
Know how to kill, know how to do your damn job, shut up about it and just do it, get paid, get out, do what, you know, it's all about just doing what is necessary to get
The
your
mission done.
So I guess in a way this is a big distraction for a lot of people, veterans, people that are in that don't necessarily agree with what's going on. I don't really have an opinion about anybody being able to be in or out of the military.
Neither do I. Like we say, like, I don't care what you do. If you want to serve, you serve. But you represent the country. Like, you do your job.
I do have problems with how you might expect to be treated while you're in the military. Because if you have, for instance, like a sexual, I don't know how to say this completely politically correctly, but how is a medic on a battlefield supposed to address you correctly if you have an identity issue without you like getting upset about it?
I mean, if it were me, I would just, private, what's your issue, private, you're bleeding out, private, like, use the rank. I mean, the rank has always been a non-gender thing.
Yeah, but then where do you billet these certain individuals during training?
Mm-hmm.
Do you billet them?
See, that's the thing I always liked about the military. Things were a lot simpler. And you can say apples to oranges of Air Force and Army, but when it boils down to it a lot, pretty much the same, other than the living conditions in terms of how things were operated at the basic level. Like, if you are a male that identifies as a female, I'm only assuming here because I'm out, you're out, everybody, we're out. We don't know. So if you have like a male that identifies as a female going through basic training, I'm guessing they're going to put him in with the males.
So yeah, I would assume so.
And you would think that Uncle Sam would be like, well, I identify as this.
Like,
Like, well, this is what your physiological gender is. Like, yeah, we're not trying to shit on anybody here.
I'm not trying to be.
I feel like now we're just kind of spitballing because this is pure speculation.
I'm not trying to be offensive in any way. It's just I don't understand. Like, it is a as you said, it's a very simple lifestyle.
Yeah.
I mean, you really don't have to make any decisions at all. Somebody's going to tell you what to do.
They'll tell you what to do, what your decision is. Yeah.
And it just brings a lot of like complications to things. And things that have to be like thought over and discussed that people just have never had to deal with that before.
So right there into that,
would you have like an entire population of recruits train solely together because of something like that? Like I don't.
I mean, I'd like to think at the end of the day, if you're trained to fight an enemy and an enemy is coming after you, they're not going to care what it is you identify as. If you have a genuine enemy that is trying to take your life, they don't care what you identify as. They're just going to take your life. But not to get like, it feels like we've gotten a little bit off topic, but we really haven't. So just to be talking about like, trans or whatever in the military, coming back to PTSD right there is a lot of registered cases of PTSD for trans individuals, not only in the Army, but out there in the general public in real life.
I can't imagine what somebody with like an identity crisis would go through in the military because it's hard.
Identity crises right now going on just in our country. I don't even know about the rest of the world, but that kind of stuff going on just in regular town, just living it as a civvy.
I don't see that situation working
Add
out
Uncle
very
Sam
well.
on top of that, man. I mean, good. Hey, more power to you for wanting to take that plunge, because I'm sure any individuals out there that are going, you know what, I know that this has been rough for me as a civilian going through this shit, and I'm about to make it a lot harder on myself in the military, and you're still willing to go through with it. You know what, sir, ma'am, whatever you want to identify as, I salute you for it. You want to serve the country? Fuck yeah, serve it.
Absolutely, I agree.
We just really kind of.
I know, and
kind of spiraled into that.
I feel bad because I don't have the vocabulary to really express like what I'm trying to say without, I guess, kind of sounding stupid
or just old fashioned.
Old fashioned. Which,
but I mean that's the thing though, is a lot of people want to talk about things like the words entitlement mentality get thrown out a lot. And you know what? I'm starting to believe in it as more than just saying, oh, these young'uns in there, they're just entitled to fucking everything. No, I believe it's more of an American term. It's an entitlement mentality to your generation. As to our generation as millennials, we are entitled to our opinion based upon those things that are of that era.
River. I'm not a millennial.
You're not a boomer.
I'm a Gen Xer.
Where were you born?
83.
I was born in 84.
Well,
that was the gap, wasn't it?
You got to respect your elders.
That was the gap. It was 83 to 84. I really think that was. You Gen X and piece of shit. Here I am from your Pepsi Cola commercials picking up after you.
Being a millennial is really more of a state of mind.
Well, millennials were broken up. Like, originally millennials were supposed to be from like 84 until now, which is bullshit, because they finally separated from like 83 to like 92 or something, to where now you have the Gen Z. You got the Zoomers.
I really don't think 84 would make you a millennial. I think if your formative years were around the turn of the millennium, you would be a millennial. So if you were born,
according to the official recognized mathematics of it, is I'm a millennial, because it was like also late 84, November of 84.
Can't believe we're friends.
I just don't you stop. I'm just going to breathe heavily into this microphone while you continue to judge me.
You do wear flannel, ironically.
No, I wear flannel because it's warm. And I love my goose down sweaters. We've talked about this on the show because I've always been the goose down man with a goose down plan. And by God, it's almost goose down season, Dave. Brace yourself. Flannel season's coming.
I like it.
I've already been enjoying the pumpkin spices, so...
You make me sick.
I saw you and Mrs. Dave both like, oh! Like it was... Mrs. Dave, you look like my cat when he smelled broccoli for the first time. He was like, "Ah!" I don't know what it is. Just quick segue on this. I don't know what it is about pumpkin spice. It's probably some form of an allergic reaction. But I get happy when I sip on that fine Dunkin' Donuts pumpkin spice latte with some stevia in it. And I take that first sip and I'm sitting in my masculine subcompact truck listening to Dirk's Bentley or whatever the hipster's supposed to be listening. I don't know. I listen to whatever's on the radio, but I get happy. Like I just sit there and I just get this warm fuzzy in me, and I'm just like, oh man, all is right with the world. And then my Ugg boots came in, and these leggings feel amazing under these cargo pants.
I didn't know you were a white girl.
I am a basic white girl at heart. When it comes down to a pumpkin spice coffee, now here's the thing: I'm a basic white girl elitist. Is because if I'm going pumpkin spice coffee, it has to be Dunkin' Donuts. For whatever reason, they nailed it. I don't know what, like cigarette butt ashes or spit or whatever they've been putting into it, or cockroaches. Like, by the way, ground coffee, that's the thing too. A lot of the bitters in ground coffee are apparently derived from cockroaches ground up during the grinding process in the factory. Yeah, high in protein. I am prepared for the apocalypse because according to that, I've probably eaten 30 pounds of cockroaches from all the ground coffee I've drank in my life. But anywho, yes, River Sullivan is a self-admitted basic white girl when it comes down to his pumpkin spice. And that big-ass truck just driving by, I hope to God I can scrub that audio out.
You know, back in my day, you wouldn't just drive a big old truck around.
Back in your day, Dave, they chased a hoop with a stick on the weekend for a good time. Oh, I'm sorry, that was out of line.
It was a hoop skirt, yeah.
You mean a bustle?
I don't know what they're called.
I mean, the old-timey wiry dresses, it was a bustle.
It was called a hoop skirt.
God, I thought there was a snake right there, but that was the shadow of my hand moving through the light.
I'm not scared of snakes.
I am terrified. But anyway.
I'm scared of spiders.
God, where did we just tangent from? We were talking about trans in the military.
I was scared to pay my taxes, and now I'm scared the IRS is going to catch up with me.
So going back to PTSD here, because we, as is the beauty of this show, we get off the rails and we just kind of go wherever the brain or the mind or the soul tells us. PTSD is one hell. If I would refer to PTSD, I refer to her as a fickle bitch. Because it never shows up when you want it to. It just kind of happens. Like,
that's just misogynist.
Well, I mean, it can just... Each person's different. For me, it's a smell. Like, I had PTSD from my troop getting killed in the military, and that affected me for a while. And I did okay with it. I want to say I did pretty good with it, but I was like a full-blown alcohol dependent at the end of it. Like, I would take a half gallon of Captain Morgan and drink that bitch every night, a whole half gallon, within an hour to 2 hours. And it was my brothers there that were like, pull your fucking head out of your ass and get your mind right. And you're like, yep, you're right. Yep, need to do it. Okay, did that. Proud of myself that I could go from a full-blown alcohol dependent to being completely dry to also being, you know what, I'm going to enjoy some beverages and be able to say no when I want to. It's a very proud moment of my life for something that was so egregious to happen to me. But the one that really got me, and I think when we had Mr. Boone on the show and Scott was still co-hosting on the Three Veterans Talk It Out episode, was when my grandfather, who was a veteran as well, killed himself. That messed me up. Like, that was one thing. Smells were what really set me off. Smells of, I don't know, it was like sulfur and
so you have the excuse me, the expended gases from the gunshot, and then mixed with, I guess you would call it viscera.
For me, it was brain matter. It was the irony smell of the blood. And I'll never forget the feeling when that happened. He used a number 6 turkey load out of a 12 gauge. I still have the shell actually somewhere, because I struggled with thoughts like that for a long time. And anytime those thoughts ever came to me, I'd always find that shell. And my mother used to worry about me years ago and would be like,
puts things in perspective.
it does. here's the thing. Suicide, like my grandfather was a veteran, right? And it wasn't from the war. It was from things with his wife after she had died. It was the year to the date that they'd moved in to this house together. And a lot of people would tell you that suicide is the most, it's the coward's way out. It's the coward's way out. No, it's not. Absolutely not. And I'll say that for anybody that listens to this show that ever considers anything like this. Suicide is not the coward's way out, because I firmly believe it is one of the bravest things that you can do as a person for yourself. It takes a lot of guts to be able to, you know what? I don't know what's on the other side of this shit, but I'm about to cross that bridge. It is, however, the most selfish thing that you can do.
There have only been a handful of suicides in recorded history that were done in any sort of beneficial way for somebody else. And I do agree that it's selfish. I don't really think it takes any great leap of faith or strength to commit
I know.
it.
I'd like to think that it does, but I know where you're going with it.
What I will say is that if you think that you can make a blanket statement that suicide is a coward's way out, you have never been to that brink.
Yeah.
You've never been in so much internal despair and hopelessness that the only light that you can see is suicide. Is that's the only end that you can see at that very specific point, and it's terrifying. I've been there hundreds of times. I've struggled with it since I was a younger man. But I don't really have a whole lot of those problems anymore. I have a lot of ideation. I have what my doctor calls intrusive suicidal thoughts. I don't want to, and I don't plan to, but when things start going south, it's always in the back of my head. Always in the back of my head. And I just got to chase that little...
No, not today. Chase it away.
Because, I mean, I don't want to put anybody through that. My uncle committed suicide a month and a half ago, and I had to go and clean up his house and all. Police don't do a great job of cleaning all that stuff up. I was going to
get to that, where they say is a lot of people don't know is when a suicide happens that you either hire a company to do it or you do it yourself. And for me, the Sullivans are we're a frugal family, and I spent 5.5 hours of a day of mine with a pressure washer with some bleach, washing his ass off the goddamn garage.
Right.
And I'll never forget the smell, and I'll never forget the feeling of picking up pieces of him and putting them away. And these are rough things to talk about, and they're hard things to talk about. Like right now, just thinking about it for me is it's not the easiest thing to talk about. It's not like when the old lady asked me, "Hey, how was your day?" and I can tell, "Oh, well, traffic fucking sucked." But every time, either on this show or outside of the show, and trust me, outside of the show, I talk to people about it or have talked to people about it, either on a professional manner or just on a personal level, enough to where still to this day, and it's been many years since it happened, that you still feel a little lighter when it happens. And that's whether it be suicide or anything that creates your PTSD. For anybody where we talk about, where I don't care what you identify as, I don't care, or we don't care as to what it is you want to do with your life, and if you want to do something positive with your life, but you go through some rough shit, and it's scarred you or made you afraid or terrified or angry, talk to somebody about it.
Absolutely.
And no matter how hard it is, the first time you ever talk to somebody about it, it is going to feel like the hardest thing you've ever done. It's like climbing Mount Everest with no equipment. But when you get it done, when that thing is done, you feel like you just lost 100 pounds. Like you feel light.
Absolutely.
You feel like you could do anything. And still right now, like I said, just talking about that with my grandfather for a little bit, I feel it just lets you know that you're not going to get it all out in one go. You're always going to have a little bit of that stuff in you, and you got to get it out. And there's nothing wrong with being able to talk to other people about it. Like I talked to Dave here. Like the whole time we do this show, I'm looking at Dave.
Fucking crazy,
I'm
man.
looking at you, brother. And
well,
but I'm talking to you guys as well. We're talking to you guys as well. That
if
we know we're not.
If you've got these kinds of feelings in your heart and in your head, the only thing stopping you from talking to somebody 98% of the time is pride. There's no shame in asking for help. And we used to say that there's a real fine line between bravery and stupidity.
And it's about to get dumb as shit in here.
It's about to get dumb as shit in here. But you don't have to suffer through these types of things alone. There are millions of people that would love to talk to you and help you. You're not alone. You're never alone. Shit, if you've got a cell phone,
don't ever think
you're literally never alone. Somebody's watching you.
Don't ever think for one moment when you have these feelings, when you have this drought in your soul of just being this dry feeling of being empty or hollow or numb, that if you were to talk to somebody, anybody, it doesn't have to be a licensed professional, it could be your buddy, it could be your friend, whatever, and you want to talk to somebody about this, don't think for a minute, because I know that this is what I thought, and this is what other people that I've talked to have thought, that they thought it would portray weakness.
That's exactly what I thought. But that's, like, we both come from a military background where talking about these things, it can be frowned upon, and that's why it took me 6 years out of service to get help.
It took me 1.5 years after my troop died for me to seek help, and it took me, I mean, in the grand scheme, probably wasn't that long. It was probably about 9 months to a year, because I looked at my schedule at work after my grandfather did that every 7 to 10 days, literally on the dot, I was looking at my roster, my schedule for my work. Every 7 to 10 days, I was calling off. And those days that I called off, I would sit in my easy chair in my apartment at the time, and I would just be staring at the floor, and I would get lost in the shitty pattern of the recycled fiber, like schoolhouse style carpet that was in that place. And
I would relate. I totally relate to that.
Don't ever think, for the last time, don't ever think that is ever weakness when anybody ever goes through anything, and you guys need to talk about it, and you might not know that you need to talk about it. You just have these thoughts in your mind and your brain and your soul that you're like, all I can do is replay this. If that's all you can do, tell somebody that. Tell somebody you trust. Tell somebody that knows how to talk to you, that knows you, or even seek out somebody that's licensed to do that.
Maybe you're just having thoughts that you can't even understand. Get it out. Like, talk to somebody. Once you start, it's nerve-wracking. But if you're anything like me, and God, I hope you're not, but once you start, it's going to be hard to stop, because
you're just going to
vocalizing these things to another person who is actively listening to you it'll change you.
You're going to break. It's like breaking a levee open. Once it opens, it all starts pouring out of you. Like, it's all, how to word it? Like, well, for me, like, for the future Mrs. Sullivan, anytime that I have to talk to her about something or explain something to her, she'll be like, oh, well, like, we'll watch TV. She'll be like, why did they do that? I start from point A, and I go A through Z, the whole alphabet. And I tell her, I said, that's how my brain has become wired, is that I have to run things through it, not only to explain to you, but also it helps me have realizations in myself or my own awareness as to why I'm saying things that I'm saying. Like, it's not only is it an explanation, but it's a justification all in once. And that's how a lot of people, that when they have issues that for things that they've seen or things that they're going through, that's how, I want to say 99% of the people I've talked to, like, that's how it comes out. And that's fine with it. Look, if you're a listener and you're somebody that's on the other end, you're on the receiving end of this, and you have a friend or a loved one that's going through something, and you guys are getting let loose on by all this information, shut up, look at them right in the eyes, nod to let them know that you're understanding, that you're receiving, and just listen. We don't all have to be Sigmund Freud. We don't have to be a clinical psychologist to understand what somebody's going through, because I promise you, when somebody's going through something, they will tell you exactly how they're feeling the entire way. And all you have to do is try to put yourselves in that person's shoes.
Yeah, and if you have any shred of empathy, listen. Check in on your friends. You never know what people are hiding in their little closet walking around.
So sticking there to the PTSD that we've started with on this, warning signs for some of you guys that listen that may not be initiated or knowing on some of these things. You always want to be on the lookout. If you have a friend or loved one that you're worried about, you always want to be lookout for the telltale things of, like, they start giving away dearest possessions, or they start making certain dramatic statements. A lot of times, like the dramatic statements that they'll make, that I'm not going to give you a blanket dramatic statement. A lot of them are, you like, when they say something, you go, man, that's kind of weird.
It's really dark.
It's a dark statement. They don't normally talk like that. That's usually some kind of a subconscious cry for help. Like, and sometimes you have to go further than, hey man, you all right? Sometimes you got to bug the shit out of that person.
Yeah, take them off the side. Don't call them out in front of everybody.
Yeah.
Or her. Yeah, I'm using my pronouns loosely here, but just take the person off to the side and check up on them. It's going to take 30 seconds out of your day if there's nothing going on.
And I'll tell you, I'm so thankful for the woman that I have in my life. Me and her have gotten to the point where she can read me and I can read her.
Her and I. Her and I. Say it.
Ussens.
Ussens. Weebles.
those peoples, us kin folk, because it's West Virginia. People might not know. Maybe I'm getting married to my sister.
That's my kin.
That's my kin. But anyway, the old lady, as I call her a lot on the show here, she's learned to really read me, and I've really learned to read her, to where, like a couple weeks ago, she said, baby, I just want to let you know I love you. I don't know what's happening with you, but I can tell that you're down. And I want to ask you if there's anything I can do for you. And if not, I just need you to not feel that way anymore.
Because you're kind of pissing me off.
It's like, because I don't know. So for me with her, it's always like, I can tell, you rolled your eyes over the you went north to east on this one and east to west. Like, that's you. He should have picked up dinner eyes. Like the little things that we pick up on each other. But
one thing I would like to say is, like, when I say things like we've all been there, like, we've all felt like that, I'm not trying to say that your situation is not unique to you.
It's not a blanket, yeah.
And at least in my experience, that's been a problem that I've had in, like, group therapy. I don't like group therapy because everybody wants to make things I say about them.
My brother took me to a group therapy session once with vets, and
I don't like it. But anybody out there listening, hello world, are you there? Your situation is unique, and you deserve the attention, the unique attention that should bring. But keep in mind that the things that you're feeling, a lot of people have felt those same emotions. We're all still people. And I don't know, I just felt like I should say something.
No, I know what you mean. We're all people, we all go through this, but, and right there, I'm sorry, I need to cut my own self off. That is almost a statistical fact, is we all, it seems, go through this. Everybody has a tragedy. Everybody has a horrible thing that has happened to them at some point in life. But that's also kind of a beacon of light to look at, is stay off Facebook for that shit. Stay off Twitter, Instagram. Don't give me the cryptic, I just can't even ... Yeah. Okay, I mean, if that's your only outcry for help, okay, so be it. But we all have that thing that we've gone through. We all have had that tragedy in our lives. But if you have a close group of friends or family or whatever, there's nothing to stop them or you from reaching out, or them reaching out to you. And not every, where, like you said, not every situation is unique. Yeah, we can have multiple people that say, hey, this guy committed suicide in my life. Oh, this guy committed suicide in my life. But I believe, where I'll say is, they really kind of are all unique because of it all depends on how we handle them. Every person and how they handle it is a little bit different.
What I'm talking about is more about perspective.
Okay.
It can be easy for people to think that these things happen to them, but in reality, things just happen. But the way, from your perspective, that situation affects you uniquely.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I believe that the best therapy is treating these situations, even if you see 100 of them in a day, you should treat that person and their problem as a unique situation.
Okay.
Because it is them. Don't generalize their emotions. It doesn't help to tell them everybody feels that way. You know what I mean?
I get it. Yeah, I get where you're coming from.
Because the process is dealing with those emotions that you're having problems with. And it just doesn't really help anybody just to talk about, oh yeah, like everybody does that. You know, talk to the person.
Yeah.
I think that's the best therapy. I don't have a therapist that does that, but I think that's the best therapy. The best therapy.
I mean, at the end of the day, it seems the best therapy is just being able to air that shit out, talk about it as much as you don't want to. And if you don't have to talk about it in any way, shape, form, like there's no real formula for it.
Want to.
Just start bleeding off at the mouth and talk.
Yeah, get it out.
If you hold it in, it's just it's like an infection. Like it's like a cut. Like you don't take care of it. You hold it in. It's going to get infected. It's going to fester, and it's going to get bad.
It is. I know that.
It's like, or you hold it in. It's like you got to pee. You just keep holding that pee, and eventually you're going to piss yourself. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be messy for you.
You're going to end up crying on a deck in a local bar in Morgantown, West Virginia. That's happened to me 3 times. Yeah.
Mario's Fishbowl was my breakdown spot.
Oh, classics was mine.
10 o'clock in the morning.
But I do have PTSD. I have a lot of anxiety issues and some deeper depression. And I've got a couple things that, while not exactly manly per se, it's just 2021. I can do whatever the hell I want.
I get where we're going. We're going to the coping mechanisms.
Yeah, the things I do with the help of my lovely wife that help me kind of concentrate on something else. And they almost always involve me doing something menial with my hands. Mm-hmm. Painting, which isn't necessarily menial, but
very, very zen, like very focused involved.
You have to focus on that.
Yeah.
Like you can't have a bunch of thoughts running around because you'll screw up your painting. We started painting last year and make any money. But funny story about that. It really helped. Mm-hmm. It really helped. And I started to crochet. I made a blanket. Technically, I guess, a blanket and a half.
So you're making me a scarf.
Yeah, I'm making you.
So I'm very excited for it. I will make sure that I wear that when I'm enjoying a fine pumpkin spice.
It's something to do with your hands that you have to kind of focus on, so it gets you out of your head. You know, just kind of, I'm just going to do this, and I'm going to do this, mm-hmm. and it's the being methodical about it. And I love to fish.
Oh yeah, well, you've definitely got where I say the zen-like patience of a monk. When it comes to fishing, like, dude, yeah, when you cast out a line and you're focused, there's no reaching you.
No,
I could have been eaten by a goddamn shark last time we went out. You're like,
oh yeah, that's River. Oh look, I caught a river. Oh, he's kind of dead.
Help me, Dave.
No, I love to fish, but fishing is relegated more to my more of my going over things in my head type time. It's almost like more of like a self-reflection / meditation for me. It's also why I like to hunt, because I get all that time in the woods, that crisp cold air, the beautiful weather, just surrounded by nature. And hopefully at the end of the day, I get to kill something, which is not as fun as it sounds, but field dressing a deer, oh boy, that's a hoot.
Heard it smells real good.
Oh, yeah. Oh, great. But, yeah, I just little things that I do. I'd like to know if any listeners want to comment on the YouTube or anything that they like to do when they're stressed.
Well, for me, it was this show. And like Scott was the one that was a big thing for him. He told me he loved co-hosting this show because it was therapy to him. It allowed him to get a lot of his thoughts and get some of his demons out in pretty much anonymity. That
just verbalize
he could
it,
just
get it
he
out
had
there.
he had nobody to talk to but me in the room and a microphone to just catch it all.
And we salute you, Scott. Thank you for your service.
Yeah, I wonder. God, I hope Scott's doing okay. He was over there in Kuwait last I heard, and then when we pulled out Afghanistan, so I know.
Can you imagine? I've been to Kuwait a bunch. Can you imagine how hot it is in Kuwait right now?
I know it's prime pumpkin spice season right now. It's nice and brisk out,
and it's not a dry heat. That's
No.
bullshit.
Kuwait's not a dry heat.
When it's 118 degrees outside, it doesn't matter if it's dry heat. Is what I'm saying. You walk outside, it's like opening an oven door, like with your face right on it. It's like, and your skin just shrinks up on your face to try to get away from it. It's terrible.
But I have to pee.
I had a hell of a tan.
I still have to pee.
Okay, let's pause.
So talking about like all the other different ways, I guess that, Dave, you have was it crocheting or knitting?
Crocheting.
Crocheting.
But I do Tunisian crocheting.
What's the
which-
difference?
Well, it can look an awful lot like knitting. Generally, with Tunisian crochet, you're working an entire row instead of going stitch by stitch. I could go on for hours about it, really. I mean, I don't really think people want to hear about how I play with yarn. I did kind of develop a sort of yarn
What was that? I don't know.
addiction. I've got way too much yarn for projects that I haven't even started yet. I think I've got 4 projects going right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. With the painting, though, I mentioned I had a funny story. I like to paint generally scenery in a monochromatic sense.
It's like landscapes done over a specific hue.
Yes. I like to use different shades and grades of one color to make like an ethereal feeling, like almost like a fairy tale feel.
Like a dreamscape, but not
exactly.
as psychedelic.
Exactly. And the first painting that I completed that I decided is like, wow, like this is something I could sell. Like I could. A lot of people were telling me that, and my wife, my lovely wife Tara, put it on Reddit, on the painting subreddit, and people were like, wow, like how much? And
have you shown me that one?
yes, I believe so, but
You have to show me that again, because like I believe I gave you similar applaud to it. Was like, you should sell these.
yeah, well.
But now,
as soon as I decided I had one that could be worthy of being sold, my cousin sent me a text message. He's like, I want that. Shit.
Just gave it to him.
I had to. But
No, seriously, it's like anything else like that, because we love to paint here. at Casa de Sale, and that was the thing for me. For part of my coping was painting as well.
There's really something really cathartic about it. And actually, I didn't really know that about you, River.
Yeah,
We'll have to come up and do some acrylic pours or something.
Have you seen the paintings up in the living room?
Yeah.
There was the one with Max the shepherd that was kind of a cartoon caricature of him almost. Like I always wanted to be a cartoonist growing up. Like that was the thing about me was I had like I loved Garfield for whatever reason, and I always did.
Because you hate Mondays, man.
Yeah, I hate Mondays. I love lasagna. You know, I like to sleep in, tuck into my bed. I hate people named John, you know? Oh, God, wait, we've had Big John on the show. Don't tell him. Don't tell him.
Oh, shit.
But, yeah, for me, it was, painting was definitely not a primary for me. But the thing I've learned, though, is that is definitely a coping for stressors or PTSD is cleaning. And I don't know what it is. Like, I get started on, like, a little bit. Like, I start cleaning a little bit. And, like, I had a week off a while back here. And she had to, the old lady had to force me out of the house. She's like, get on your goddamn kayak and go on the water, paddle around, drink some beers, go hang out with your friends. Because out of the 5 out of 7 days that I was out or off, I cleaned. I cleaned the whole house for like 5 days. I was like, look at that. I just like even scrubbed with a toothbrush the inside of Cat Damon's litter box. Just
that is something that I am not good at is cleaning. Cleaning stresses me out.
Let's see, it used to, but then I looked at it as like I don't know, about a puzzle or something. It was like, I'm going to start here and I'm going to get this thing fucking clean. And then I just kept going.
Well, my problem is I let things get to the point that it's just like, fuck, like where do I even start?
See, I have a fear of letting things get to that point to where, like I told her, it's like me cutting grass. it keeps beeping. So it was like
muted. I don't know why. I turned the fucking volume down.
So for me, it was always.
I didn't do it again. That was from the last one.
My volume is off. I don't understand why it's doing this.
Sorry.
I hate that goddamn phone. So for me, it was always, I never want to let like a mess or a chore or whatever get to a certain level where I'm flipping out, because I already flip out just thinking about it. Like for me, I'm to the point for like my grass. I have to cut the grass every week because every week that we've had that, like we had 1 week where it was just rain. And that was a week we went to the beach. And when I came back, it took me and her 4 hours just to cut the acreage here, which it normally would take you about 2. And now that I maintain it every week, I can get it done in about 90 minutes.
And you would think that while you were at the beach, maybe you had a good friend.
Maybe I had some guy that's going to be the best man at my wedding.
Maybe he would have mowed the lawn.
That was happy to sit in my chair and drink my beer, would sit in my mower and drink my beer. But, shit just ain't in the cards. Yeah. No, it's all good. But, yeah, it was like that's... I told her, like, I said, stuff like that, I treat it like the grass. I just can't let it get that way because it ekes away at my soul somehow. Like,
well, I need to get to where you're at then, because I just, like, my garage is a wreck. Basement is, well, the basement's not too bad, but my spare, quote unquote, spare bedroom, which is basically where I put all my shit, is a goddamn mess.
Well, we had the spare bedroom here that was a mess, and I mean, it's taken her some time. That's where she kept all of her extra stuff, and I was fine with it. Like, I learned to not look in the room because it would mess with me mentally. And she took time here over like her last weekend and just slaughtered it. Like, she leaves that door open now to the spare bedroom. The spare bedroom door is just now wide open. Says, "Hey, look at me. Look how pretty I am." And I told her, I said, "Babe, I'm so proud of you." I mean, I said, yeah, it took you some time, But it takes people a certain amount of time. We don't all react in the same time frame, in the same way. Sometimes in some things it takes us sometimes longer than others. And there's nothing wrong with that. But at the end of the day, it got accomplished. And I told her, I said, I was so proud of, I was like, I'm so proud of you to see that. I'm so proud that you did that. It's that, stroke the ego, whatever you want to look, and just for me and her, is let my significant other know that I'm proud of her because she's doing something that she set out. It was a goal that she set out to achieve. Yeah, it took her longer to do than other people might have said that it should have, but she did it. And time aside, I'm proud of her for that.
I'm proud as shit of my wife. She cuts the lawn.
Oh, I know. You dote on her any chance you get. Mrs. Dave, you don't know all the times that you ain't around that he's just like, I would be lost without you. He would be talking to a beach ball and calling it Wilson.
I ain't never said that shit.
You shut up. I'm helping you.
Bitch, we're already married.
Got him. Yes.
She's sitting right here.
I guess my main coping mechanism would be this show. Like I said, for me and Scott, like Scott always says, it's therapy. It's something to get to talk about. But outside of this show, seem to move on from project to project. Like I'm always trying to score something with video games to do some kind of voiceover work for. I got 2 games that I have in the mix right now that I'm not allowed to talk about from these developers due to an NDA, but it's something that I'm very proud of, and
I'll honor that.
And it's just like, I mean, it's just my thing. Like I'm always like, I've always been a gamer, and it's great. But outside of that, it's always been carpentry projects or things to do on the house. And it just, whatever, like you said, something menial, keeps your mind busy. So eventually it's going to be here. Oh, yeah, probably either it'll be the time this episode is aired. You guys will be with me at the senior Sullivans, my parents, and we'll be splitting us up some sweet, sweet firewood.
Going to be handling that wood.
Be handling that damn red oak all over town.
Oh, it's so hard.
Oh, it's going to be so hard. I'm going to need you to take the tonneau cover off your truck so we can accommodate more.
Yeah, like men.
Like men.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to have gloves on because splinters hurt, but.
Yeah, well, yeah. I've got a lot of calluses in my line of work, hand jobs and such.
Yeah, your calluses are your gloves. I get it, your skin is your gloves.
Can be.
But.
Especially if you're in the water way too long, like you're a waterlogged body. Your skin just kind of comes off. Anyway.
But we're at time.
Okay, so I don't have to keep talking?
No, we're good. So
all right, bye, people.
So, guys, it looks like we are... all out of time here for this episode. I knew that we were going to start talking a little bit about post-traumatic stress, and I was so happy to just see all the different ways that it was that we could go on this, and all the other avenues we could approach, and all the other just things of it that we could open up to talk about. So never forget, guys, anything that you have going on in your life, anything serious, PTSD or not, always helps to talk to someone.
Before we sign off on here, I just want to remind everybody that no matter what you're going through, you don't have to do it alone. You got friends, you got people. Today's day and age of internet, you don't have to deal with all this stuff alone. Just talk it out. Talk to people. Get a different perspective. Get out of your head. Hear somebody else's thoughts on things. Let them help you. Help yourself. You'll be a better person for it.
I love you so much right now.
I love you too.
That's all the time we got here for you tonight, everyone. So thanks again for stopping by. Thanks for tuning in. And until we see you here next time on the show, we hope to find you a little bit happier, healthier, and a little bit less bitter in life. Peace out.